I think for me, it's MJ all day long, only because how I played against him. And, MJ just had everything, from mid range to 3-point to post up game, and he could score and dominate in each position. LeBron is dominant. LeBron could do so many things on the floor. And
do you think LeBron's a better all around player than Jordan?
Let's start with a moment that still gives every NBA fan goosebumps. Standing in front of Michael Jordan wasn't just intimidating. It was straight up terrifying. Ray Allen, one of the smoothest shooters the game's ever seen, once said going against MJ felt like being killed slowly. That's coming from a man who faced both Jordan and LeBron. He knew the difference between dangerous and deadly. Picture this. Jordan leans over to the opposing coach mid-game, tells him softly, "You're doing a good job," and then drops 45 points like he's out for a walk in the park. No showboating, no wild celebrations, just surgical destruction. He moved through defenses like they weren't even real, like the court itself tilted in his favor. When Ray Allen was asked how Jordan would perform in today's pace and space, perimeter-heavy era, he didn't blink. He smirked and said, Jordan would average 45 a night without breaking a sweat. That's not nostalgia talking. That's trauma from a survivor who felt what it was like to be on the wrong side of the storm. And that brings us to the question that never dies. Michael Jordan or LeBron James? Every time this debate cools off, someone reignites it, and the whole basketball world catches fire again. We're not just comparing stats here. We're comparing pressure, that bone-deep, breath-stealing intimidation that makes even elite players' hands shake when fate calls their number. Jordan's stare alone could silence an arena. That's why Ray Allen's story hits so hard. It's the perfect snapshot of what Jordan represented. He wasn't a storm that passed. He was the storm that returned, year after year, stronger than before. Look at the receipts. More than 50 playoff games where he single-handedly outscored rosters stacked with Hall of Famers. An endless parade of 40-point explosions. The man had more 40-point games than he had nights scoring under 20. Those numbers aren't just stats. They're royal signatures, carved into the history of dominance. Then there's LeBron, a force of nature in his own right, the ultimate hybrid of power, intelligence, and endurance. Nearly 2 decades of defying logic and physics, rewriting what we thought was possible. His vision bends defenses like light through glass. His strength changes how entire teams scheme against him. And his consistency is something we've never seen before. LeBron is a painter, spreading brilliance across every inch of the floor, crafting something breathtaking every night. But when the game slows down, when the air gets tight and the score is hanging by a thread, you don't need a painter, you need a killer. Jordan wasn't painting, he was slicing. A blade so sharp that every defender who stepped in front of him left with scars you couldn't see but never forgot. Freeze any frame of his career, and you see evolution itself. This man didn't stumble into greatness. He built it, brick by brick, cut by cut. From being cut from his high school team to floating past Patrick Ewing in college, to torching NBA defenses with raw, unfiltered athletic fire before transforming into a footwork magician. MJ upgraded every season. When the Bulls needed a point guard, he said, bet, and rattled off 10 triple-doubles in 11 games. If Jordan wanted to pass, he passed. If he wanted space, he took it. And when you needed a dagger, he turned into the hammer. Between 1991 and 1996, he dominated 13 straight playoff series, averaging over 30 points, not as stat padding, but as survival in a league built on elbows, blood, and bruises.
It's hard to really compare the generations. If you look at what MJ did during his era, like I played in between both those eras, and the rules are totally different. Like you can't touch a guy now. A guy will go to the free throw line 20, 25 times a game just off of ticky-tack stuff.
Then came the 2 legendary three-peats, 1991 to 93 and 1996 to 98. 6 championships, 6 finals MVPs, and 1 undeniable truth. When everything collapsed, when the world seemed ready to crack, Jordan became the air itself. He was the oxygen everyone else needed just to breathe. Jordan's greatness wasn't built on perfection. It was forged through every failure, sharpened until nothing and no one could dull it. Detroit's bruising wall. The 95 loss to Orlando. Those hits didn't break Jordan. They forged him. When he came back from baseball, his legs weren't fully ready, but that only fueled the next evolution. He returned heavier, stronger, colder, locked into Phil Jackson's triangle system with Pippen, Rodman, Kerr, Harper, and Tex Winter's genius structure guiding it all. The result? A 72-10 season so unreal, it felt like watching a solar eclipse. Rare, unstoppable, and blinding in its brilliance. People always rave about Jordan's scoring, but his defense, that was his secret weapon. 9 all-defensive first-team selections, a Defensive Player of the Year award in the same season he was MVP. Who else does that? He didn't just outscore opponents, he suffocated them. From the baseline to the free throw line, he dismantled entire offenses like it was personal. And then there's the coldest part of his legend, the clutch. 28 game winners, 7 in the playoffs. Imagine millions of fans holding their breath while the clock bleeds out. And Jordan, calm as ice, he inhaled tension, exhaled destiny, and twisted time in his hands. For him, clutch wasn't hype, it was law. When everything was on the line, Jordan didn't react. He ruled. That's what set him apart. It wasn't just the numbers, it was when and how he delivered. Every masterpiece had perfect timing. The media doubted him, whispered that Clyde Drexler was catching up, until Jordan shut that down in a single opening quarter. MVP race tight, he dropped 41 a game in the finals. Sick with the flu, barely standing, he still dropped 38 and ended a dynasty. And when the entire world held its breath in Utah with seconds left and history begging for a closer, he answered. One last shot, frozen in midair forever. The image of dominance. Now step forward to LeBron. Without Jordan, LeBron would be the unquestioned monument of modern basketball. 10 finals trips, 4 rings, countless records, and a basketball IQ that could run an entire organization by itself. Nobody denies his brilliance, his leadership, or his longevity. But this debate isn't about totals. It's about moments. It's about that razor's edge between great and immortal. Jordan lived at that edge. He didn't just survive chaos. He thrived in it. His era was raw. Forearms to the face, clotheslines in the paint, no flopping, no easy whistles. As Ray Allen said, if you flopped, you got punished. Jordan didn't ask for smooth seas. He walked into the storm and learned to breathe underwater. That doesn't disrespect LeBron. It defines the difference. LeBron's the scholar of calm water, studying the flow, mastering the system. Jordan's the deep-sea diver, chasing glory through wreckage, pressure, and pain. 2 different kinds of greatness, both unreal. But only one made opponents want to quit mid-game. Only one made coaches whisper, he's doing a good job, while watching the scoreboard burn down in flames. Critics love to say he had help. Pippen, Rodman, Kerr, the triangle. But flip that perspective. Those pieces didn't make Jordan. Jordan made them legends. He was the oak tree in a forest full of strong branches, and his shade stretched across every inch of that court. LeBron, for his part, adapted through eras, super teams, changing rules, new styles, and he survived all of it. But when you put 6 finals and 6 wins next to 10 trips with mixed endings, the contrast speaks for itself. Jordan's run was a monsoon, fierce, overwhelming, impossible to escape. LeBron's journey, more like shifting sand, impressive, but never as final. That's why when people talk about the gold standard, the measure of fear, will, and absolute control, they still whisper one name with reverence. Jordan. Both giants, both legends, yet only one reshaped the map itself. Jordan didn't just dominate basketball, he redesigned it from the inside out. He didn't just break records, he broke rules. Not just NBA rules, but cultural ones too. From how a kid laces up his sneakers to how a brand tells its story. Jordan became a language. You can match someone's stats, sure. But how do you match a man who turned flight into a symbol, a lifestyle, a belief? Becoming air isn't just skill, it's evolution with a soul. He wasn't born a myth. He built it with blood, sweat, and scars from Detroit's beatdowns. Every elbow, every bruise, every glare carved him into legend. That shot over Cleveland wasn't just a game winner. It was destiny catching up to him. May 7th, 1989, down by 1, 3 seconds left. The inbound, the catch, the rise over Craig Alo, hang, release, silence. Time froze, history blinked, and Jordan became eternal. Even before that, he'd already shown us what the impossible looked like. April 20th, 1986, Boston Garden, facing Bird's Celtics, one of the toughest teams ever assembled. Jordan dropped 63 points on hostile ground. Bird said it best. That was God disguised as Michael Jordan. The pattern was clear. When the lights dimmed, Jordan turned them back on himself. Once the triangle offense came along, it didn't reinvent him. It armed him. No wasted motion, no chaos. He'd teleport to his spots like he had a map of the court written in his DNA. Elbow, low post, turn, fade, swish, every move was math with menace, a two-step equation engineered for destruction. That fadeaway, it became his signature, a stamp of finality you could feel in your bones. The examples never end. 1991, Finals, Game 2. That mid-air switch-hand layup over the Lakers. It shattered their rhythm like glass. 1993 Finals, Game 6. 5 perfect passes ended with Paxson's dagger, 3 at 3.9 seconds. The triangle made his dominance look effortless, like inevitability was part of the playbook. But the truth? There was nothing routine about being that ruthless. So, how do you stop him? You don't. Unless you're built to endure 48 minutes of pure intensity, you're finished before you even start. Jordan was offense and defense, spear and shield. 9 all-defensive first-team honors. Defensive Player of the Year in '88. 893 career blocks as a guard, 6 seasons topping 200 steals. Jordan didn't just score, he stalked you. Watch the tape. It's pure ice. 1998 Finals, Game 6. Before the shot came the steal. One silent read on Karl Malone's post-up. One perfect swipe. Defense becoming destiny in a blink. For Jordan, stops weren't breathers. They were blueprints. They were the fuse that made the explosion. Every steal was the spark before the kill. His defense didn't pause the game. It rewrote it in real time. And he always made sure the last word was his. From the flu game, where he dropped 38 points while his body begged for mercy, to that final pull-up in Utah that sealed his story, he demanded to end every chapter his way. 1997 Game 5, swaying like a storm-tossed tree, still hitting the go-ahead 3 in Mountain Air. 1998 Game 6, the theft from Malone. The cold crossover, the frozen crowd, the rise, the release, the hush. LeBron has the block, an all-time finals moment, no doubt. But Jordan wrote an entire library of endings, each one slammed shut like a vault door. And remember, he did it all in an era built on violence and grit. Hand checks that could stop your pulse, hip checks that felt like body slams, screens that hit like car crashes. Jordan didn't just survive that era, he ruled it. He turned chaos into choreography and pain into poetry. And that's why his story doesn't fade. It echoes. So now I want to hear from you. Who do you think stands at the true peak? The artist of control or the master of chaos? Drop your thoughts below. Smash that like button. Share this with your crew. And make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. See you soon.